So hi everyone. So today my topic is unleashing content like never before. Now I know many of you might be thinking, what does that even mean, right? And to help illustrate that, I'm going to be talking about one of the largest digital event that took place last year, and which is the Rio 2016 Olympics. One of the, or as you know, folks at the NBC Universal like to call this event, one of the biggest games in town. Of course, they're going to call it the biggest game in town. This NBC Universal spent about $7.75 billion in order to secure rights for the Olympics through 2032. Now, the reason I'm talking about this event here is because there was this a shift in consumer behavior that was noticed during this event. You know, a lot of the folks at NBC Universal, thought that, hey, Brazil is in the same, almost the same time zone, just an hour difference. So maybe, we'd have a lot more TV. Our TV viewership is going to be increasing by quite a bit compared to the 2012 Summer Games in London. On the contrary, what actually happened was they actually saw a decline in TV viewership by 28%. So what happened? Where did the audience go? Were they just not interested in the Olympics anymore? Turns out that a lot of the audience was streaming the content. So they had like over 100 million viewers streaming about 3.5 billion minutes during this particular event. Now, while not everyone is going to be having this kind of an event like this, but there is this inflection point, I think, in media and entertainment where we're seeing a change. Where there used to be company-controlled proprietary networks to more open IP-based networks. We are seeing curated content and time frames now being changed to more personalized and dynamic time frames, as well as where earlier we had limited channels of distribution and and audience acquisition. Today there are multiple channels of doing this. So one of the reasons why NBC could deliver this an event of this scale was because they had a rock-solid digital foundation which was powerful, unified, and flexible. Now, of course, not everybody is going to be having an Olympic event of their own, but nevertheless, you need to be able to tune your content in order to, and I think this has been also a theme throughout this conference here where personalization was, was spoken about earlier as well. So it is important. So how do you go about doing that? So I'm going to be actually sharing 6 steps of how to set up the right foundation for your content and business. So let's begin with step number 1. Step number 1 is to dig deep with data. According to a recent study by eConsultancy, this was in 2017, this year, customer experience is regarded as the primary way for organizations to differentiate themselves from competition. But the data capabilities aren't developing fast enough. And data, data is the bedrock of providing these experiences to your customer. So it is integral. Also, what we noticed is businesses should be running campaigns rather than trying to cobble together, point solutions, trying to get something to work. So I'll give you an example of this. We have a customer, Fairfax Media, in New Zealand. And one of the things that they did was they wanted to understand how their audiences were engaging with content and where were they coming from. So before we were asked to come in and help, they had a lot of data silos. They were using analytics, but it was all siloed. So one of the things that we ended up doing was we helped them collate all of that, aggregate all of that data, and their audiences as well, and try and serve more personalized ads and personalized content to those audiences. By doing so, they saw more than 300% gains from having untargeted content and ads versus targeted ads. So it definitely helped Fairfax a lot. How do you go about doing this? So what do you need? So you need an audience intelligence capabilities that combine data from offline and online systems to create a holistic view of your customer. What you also need is data tracking across the entire customer journey and not just interaction with one system or device. And last, you need a cross-organizational view of data, and this is what I mentioned earlier, and data and KPIs so that your company can speak the same data language. Next, step number 2, get connected. Centralized content authoring is key for driving cross-device engagement. The goal here is to build once, deploy, and access everywhere, especially in today's times where you have customers consuming content on an array of different devices. Individual point solutions can be an impediment to this particular use case because you don't have them integrated amongst themselves. So one of the things that we would suggest is that you get a centralized authoring of your content that can be deployed, that can automatically repurpose itself for whatever the end user's device is, whether it's a mobile, a tablet, or a desktop. You need data tracking across the entire customer journey and not just with interaction with one system or device. And then you need, we already spoke about this, sorry, right here, okay. You need audience measurement across device but per user, and then support for major consumer platforms with a track record of continual additions. The third step is, this was a tweet that was put out by a friend of mine 2 days ago, and I saw the tweet and I thought this would be perfect for this setting. And as you can see, I've intentionally hidden the brand here. I don't want to embarrass anyone, but Abhishek has got a problem here. He's been sent an SMS and he's actually got a full set of real hair too. So it's very important to get personal, right? Consumers want businesses, and especially media and entertainment business, to know them, right? A unified digital foundation powers content personalization in the authoring interface itself, right? So, which means that all types of content, whether it's for customers or employees or partners, can be personalized more efficiently. For example, NBC Sports and the Olympics replaced their television ads with more targeted ads using data points like device type and audience behavior characteristics. They had some Nielsen data as well as some psychographic data like traits and things like that to give audiences more relevant ads. This drove more engagement and higher rates paid by the advertiser. So far, we have been discussing personalization for advertising, but there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to use this for campaigns as well. The next point, so in order to get this up and running, what you need is a campaign management functionality that captures mobile interactions, support, social, customer support, or any of the marketing interactions as well. You need an audience segment based on behavior, platform, demographic, and whatever information that you have about your audience to drive campaigns and recommendations. Your personalization needs to be done at a personal level and not just by mass segment grouping. That's something that we're noticing being used a lot. The step 4 that I'm going to talk about is obviously, there is a need for content creation to be a lot more faster than what it is today. And one of the challenges that people face here is obviously, when you've got content that needs to be consumed on multiple devices, it needs to be authored in multiple ways, which is again going back to my point on how a centralized authoring tool or a centralized authoring platform can simplify that pain for you. So in order to get this up and running, you need to make sure you have a centralized asset repository that speeds time to production. flexible workflows that can be adapted to your specific requirements, and content publishing on multiple platforms without the help of IT. If you're still relying on IT to give you access to assets, then there's no way you're going to be able to compete with competition out there. Step number 5. Technology is always evolving. There's AR, VR, IoT, and various new things are kept introduced in the technology space. And what we've noticed is with M&E companies traditionally do have a leading edge when it comes to adopting new technologies. But one of the issues that we have here is with in-house technology platforms that are created, where you've cobbled together, legacy solutions, can be an impediment to delivering this holistic customer experience. And the cost of staying current is just too much to bear for a single organization. The last step that one of the things that can help fix that is that you have open standards and open API support. So whatever new technology comes in, you have the ability to then integrate it within your platform. You need a good track record from the platform of releases and updates so that it's current. And then integration with the leading edge platforms and tools to help secure your company's future. The last one is about being scalable. And what I mean by being scalable is not just running your stuff on the cloud and then adjusting things based on demand. What I mean here is you need to have a good technical partner who can help you with the entire coordination. Technical know-how, after all, is more critical than computing power, right? So in order to be scalable, you need to make sure that you're using a cloud support from a leading infrastructure supplier that can handle these demands. You need a managed service provider, options for outsourcing of technical staff whenever required, and support for security mandates and standards for your industry. So let's just summarize here. So we spoke about dig deep with data, get connected, get personal, get faster, get future-proof, and get scalable. So at Adobe, we think that we have a very unique proposition because we've been around in the content space for more than 30 years now. And so we understand that space really well. And recently, over the past 5 years that we acquired this data company called Omniture, we've now integrated both content and data in order to help serve you better. So that was, and also one of our mission statements of the company is to help our customers deliver digital experiences as well. Now, in order to, implementing a powerful and unified digital foundation is the only way for M&E companies to deliver a personalized multi-device experience that consumers demand. Media and entertainment is in the content business. Your technology platform should be able to unleash your content and enable internal teams to attract, grow, and engage the right audiences. So just to summarize, here's a quote from one of our customers, the CTO of NBC Sports, who says that part of the viewer engagement is the content itself, and part is the technology never getting in the way of the content. It needs to be about the game, not the technology. So on that note, thank you so much for your time.